a film that brings to light child labor and some of its global effects. Let's talk about Global Harmony. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm here to talk to you about Global Harmony, which is it's on right in the festival circuit. It premiered, I believe, at the Spokane International Film Festival. It just recently played at the Los Angeles Italia Film Festival. It is currently running the festival circuit, kind of getting the word out, getting out there. But I was able to see it early. I was able to interview the director. My hot take is I think you should actually kind of pass on it. It kind of pains me to say this. I did like how the film tried to shed some light on this international issue that kind of underpins a lot about our society and props up a lot of the things that we love and take for granted. But I don't think it did it in the most interesting way. I do think that the plot itself was a little bit slow and a little bit silly. So I did like the message. I think it could have been kind of propped up a little more, but overall, I think you should kind of pass on it. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the film, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and then really quickly go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there will be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't know what happened to this movie, I would turn it off when I get there. Before that, though, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Global Harmony, you have this heir to a family fortune, Richard Foster. He is leaving behind his like family's business empire to found his own organization, Global Harmony. And it's kind of like, I don't know, like a UN type of idea. Their logo is very similar to the UN, I believe. And he wants to kind of get other countries on board to promote like global justice, equality, and cooperation. They focus on like child labor, they focus on immigration issues. He wants to create this organization that is going to promote just kind of global peace, essentially. But as they're planning this big conference that's going to take place on the Italian island of Lampedusa, some things start happening that might threaten to derail that whole thing. So, all that being said, things I liked about this film. The first, look, I like the message. It's a nice message. It's a great idea to promote global kind of cooperation, global hope, treating people equally and focus on child trafficking. It is definitely something that would make our world a better place. And I like that this film tried to kind of like put that out there through this fictitious kind of entertaining way. And the second thing I like the cast. I like that it had like a global cast. It was really interesting to see all these characters from different countries and different kind of backgrounds all mixed in together in this cast. I think it kind of helped to exemplify or amplify the global message that this film is promoting. So I did like that. And the film also kind of keeps that going with like multiple languages. There's mostly in English for a global audience, but there are bits of Italian in here. There's bits of French. It does feel like an international kind of film, which does help with this kind of like global harmony idea in the movie. So all that being said, things I didn't love as much. The first, there's a little bit of exaggerated acting, specifically the kind of like black market labor organization that is trying to derail this. Their setup is a little bit silly, I think. You know, they've got a desk in this dark organization, and the person has like a president name tag on it, which feels like, I don't know, feels not how it would actually happen. I can't imagine that the president of some sort of black market labor organization would have a desk that has president on it. I don't know, maybe they would, but the whole thing just felt a little bit silly. It felt a little bit almost I don't know, like crime drama-y. Oh, and also with some of the exaggerating acting, there is this, you know, like pair of news people or strange people that are trying to get an interview with Mr. Foster, and they just felt a little bumbling. They felt a little silly. It didn't really feel like they were supposed to be kind of slick and suspicious. I never really got that from them, and it really kind of hurt those moments, which could have been dramatic and interesting. Second thing I didn't love as much, at times it feels a little overly dramatic. Again, it feels like the film kind of tries to go in highs and lows. Some of the scenes it tries to up the global drama, but it doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel warranted. The scene involving a pregnancy that kind of like goes from 0 to 60 very quickly. There's some scenes. There are definitely some dramatic moments in the movie, but it feels like surrounding that there are some overly dramatic pieces that don't really hit very well. The third thing I didn't love as much, it feels a little unstructured. Like there is definitely a kind of conference at the end, but it feels like the build up to that, it doesn't feel like there was much of a plan to get there. You've got these incidents that happen, you know, certain days before the conference, but I don't feel like you're driving towards it. It feels like, you know, 40 days before the conference, people are talking and then something might happen. And then 30 days, people are talking and something might happen. It doesn't feel like they're making much progress. It feels like it is discrete moments in the build up to this conference. And then you also have this kind of like strange lack of urgency. I don't know. they'll be building up to the conference, and then something will happen, and someone will get mad, and then the next scene you'll have people like having lunch together, which like, oh, maybe that's how these conferences go. But it did feel like there was not a ton of structure, and then like not a sense of urgency as they are building towards this big international global event that's about to happen. And the last thing I didn't love as much, it feels pretty slow. Like, this is a really interesting topic, like it has a focus on like child trafficking at the start, like child labor usage at the start, and it has a focus on like immigration in the middle and things like that. But it doesn't really focus on those. It focuses on this fictional organization that is trying to organize this conference, and that is just not as interesting to me as the like underlying issues that this organization is trying to address, which don't really get much screen time. And that actually leads me to kind of like the last thing I didn't love as much. Uh, I feel like they could have focused more on the underlying world problems rather than this fictitious organization. I don't like the lens with which it is telling the story, because you'd only get like a little smattering here and there of the things that are happening in the world. I think the reason for this is that the movie is trying to focus on like this idea that we should have more cooperation between countries, we should have more cooperation with the world, we should have more cooperation with each other, and that is how we will build to a better world. But all that being said, I wish that there was more information about the kind of like underlying problems and, how it's affecting all of us. Because I feel like you get a little smattering of that here and there. But the film is really about this fictitious organization and this fictitious conference that they are organizing. And that just wasn't as interesting to me as, some of the underlying questions that this film is looking at. So all that being said, Global Harmony is currently on the festival circuit. I think its next showing is at the Santa Fe International Film Festival in April, but it'll keep running the festival circuit, so keep an eye out. If you do see it, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to go into the ending right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So the film focuses on this Richard Foster, who is the heir to his family's fortune, I guess, or he's like the son in this family business. The family business apparently was kind of entrenched in like black market dealings, or at least doing shady business stuff. Richard wants to do something different, so he kind of leaves behind his business and starts his own organization called Global Harmony that is looking to kind of like put forth, or that is looking to advocate for like fundamental human rights, fundamental rights for all people, treat all people equally, try to like redistribute wealth so that we're not spending so much money on weapons, we're spending it on people. It's a great idea. It's a great thought. But to that end, he is organizing this conference in Italy on this Italian island called Lampedusa to address this and try to get some nations to sign on to this idea of global harmony. Now, the film actually starts like 7 years in the past, where you see a family kind of sell their child into child labor, which was, again, maybe a little overly dramatic. Wasn't really the most kind of like impactful scene that I kind of had to actually rewatch it to make sure to see what was going on, because it didn't really explain it. And then you see a lady who is pregnant. She is about to give birth. She runs out. She gets into a car. She like gets this person to try to drive her to the hospital. He gets flustered as he's driving and he slams into a wall. He dies. She is hurt. After the car accident, Richard Foster was speaking at something. He sees this accident. He goes and helps her out of the car, helps comfort her until the ambulance arrives, and then finds out the next day that she died, but the baby is alive, and he, I guess, adopts her and raises her as her own, and raises her as his own. His daughter's name is Gaia, and Richard's relationship with Gaia is an important part of the film. But like I said, the underlying part of this movie is this fictitious conference that they are all planning. Now, there's a little bit of intrigue in here. One of the people from Global Harmony has a child that has, I think, he needs a transplant. He needs some sort of organ transplant. He's dying because of this. And so they're like, hey, you should stay home, be with your family. He's like, no, like, I can't do anything here. I want to do good. I want to work. But he always seems a little bit shady. It seems like he might have an ulterior motive. Does he? Well, you find out a little bit later. Now, as you can imagine, a conference about like fundamental human rights and trying to get nations to sign on to this is not very, positive for the black market labor organization. And they are represented by this like actual like black market labor organization, which I thought was a little silly. I didn't think that kind of made the most sense. It felt, I don't know, almost like Carmen Sandiego like. They were in this dark room. There were people talking to the president, and the president had like a nameplate that said president on it. He was like, I guess he's running the black market labor organization, and he is getting upset about this. He does mention that, like Richard Foster's parents would play ball with them, but Richard Foster isn't, and that he is a threat. So we have to start doing things to like get him to play ball. Now, one of the things that does happen is this shady looking group of like this shady duo come by Global Harmony to do an interview, and they're a little off. They feel a little off, and but they say they just want to interview Dr. Foster, and so they do. The interview goes fine. He like says, "Hey, you all want to get lunch after this?" And they're like, "No, we have to like get back and cut this footage really quickly. We got a big deadline." He's like, "Okay, great." And he then leaves. Now, the guy with the kid who needed a transplant, his name is Gordon. He stays behind, as do these news people. You don't know what happens while they're there until much later in the film. But what did happen is those news people were like working for the global black market organization, and they bugged the office. So they put bugs on a few of the things so they could listen into what was happening. Now, again, this black market organization wants to stop this conference from happening. So Foster gets a notice in the mail. It's a package of pictures of him and his family, like very close-up pictures, basically like a warning, essentially saying like, we know where you are. We could do things to you, I guess. Stop this conference. Also, it seems like they are working with Gordon because there was this important paper that needed to be filed that Gordon didn't file, and they're worried the conference isn't going to happen. There's this like somewhat dramatic scene where one of the directors of Global Harmony yells at him for not doing it. But then I guess they file the paperwork and it's fine. It's this big dramatic scene, and then nothing happens after. Now, 1 month before the conference, it seems like the black market organization is going to step up their threats. The pictures didn't work. They have bugged the office so they can hear what's going on, but it seems like they have to have something a little more direct. So those two reporters go to Dr. Foster's house, which was silly because like he already saw you. Like, why would you send the same people to do that? I mean, can't you get another couple henchmen? They go to the house. The female reporter like wears a hat and tries to like hide her face, and she goes and delivers this like package to the driveway. It is this like nicely wrapped birthday present type package, and then she leaves. I guess the whole idea was to deliver this and then send a message. When she gets back to the car, which is still like close to the house, which doesn't seem to be very smart. I feel like you'd want to drive a little farther away. Also, you probably wouldn't want to like deliver it right there, because I imagine there's probably cameras. If Foster is this like very wealthy, important person, I imagine there's probably cameras. Again, not the best planners. They start the countdown for the bomb. The countdown is like 19 seconds, which is very specific. And also, I don't know, again, I feel like you'd want to drive further away and then start the countdown, or do something where you're not right next to it, or at least have like either a longer timer and you drive away, or drive away and do a short timer so it just goes up there. They do 19 seconds, but unfortunately, Foster's child Gaia sees this package and run towards it, thinking it's like a present for her. And the kidnap or the kind of like agents or whatever you are close enough that they see the child. They like the female's like, "Stop, wait, the kid's there." And the guy's like, "I can't stop it." Well, yeah, it's a 19-second timer. Maybe you should have had a little more time. I don't know. Like, it's just, it doesn't seem like a great plan. He's like, "I can't stop it." And then you see Richard Foster's face as he looks and sees Gaia, and he goes like, "No." And then so you see like lights and some debris come towards him, and Gaia was right next to the package. She thought it was a present, and she was killed. But again, like, they were close enough that they could see her. That doesn't seem like very good for this plan. Maybe they needed visual confirmation that the bomb would go off. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like this whole thing was well put together. Now, the film also kind of like tries to give you a hint earlier on, because earlier in this scene, there is a moment when Gaia is like running towards the car, and she's about to open the car door, and it like stops. Like in movies when you kind of like stop the footage right before some big explosion happens. I was like, oh no, there's like a bomb in the car. Apparently, it didn't happen because she opened the car door. Actually, I don't even think she opened the car door. I think that the scene just stopped, and then it went on to the next scene. And I was like, did something happen? I don't know. I guess I was a little confused. I thought that there was gonna be something bad happening, and then it just kind of like moved on to the next scene. But in any event, this was the ultimate message that the Black Market Labor Organization wanted to send, or at least they wanted to send a message, but they didn't want to do this because this, I guess, killed that child and caused a tailspin for Dr. Foster. Now, this reporter agent team, I guess they are going to get smuggled out of the country. They get on a boat, I guess smuggled out by the black market labor organization. And when they get on the boat, the person, shoots them in the back of the head. So they did all this stuff. They feel bad, and then they get killed. So not the best agents, but I guess they got what was coming to them. I guess I don't know. You also see the scene with Gordon, who is going to meet with Alessandro, who's the executive of Global Harmony. And you have this weird kind of double scene where he meets with him, or he confesses what he did to Global Harmony, how he like let these reporters in, how he tried to like sabotage the conference, how because of him, Gaia is dead. It's this interesting like confession scene. He's talking about how he's leaving to go to New York because the black market labor organization was able to get his son up on the top of the transplant list. So now he is going to get his transplant, and how like he was 10 before, and you can't imagine like how much pain that caused him. It was an interesting scene, but I guess that was all in his head, because then right after that, you see the same scene over again, except now Gordon is meeting with Alessandro, and he just basically says like, I'm going back to New York. My son got, his transplant, and Alessandro's like, that's great, that's amazing. Like, we told you everything will work out, and then they just kind of like leave. Now again, this whole film is building towards this global conference. Now, as you can imagine, Foster's not really feeling this global conference. He is still in mourning for his daughter. He is just kind of like distraught overall. And so this whole conference, this whole thing he built for, he doesn't really want to go to. And his wife comes and like tries to comfort him. And, then, she goes up to him and she says, he's like, you need to do this. You need to do this conference. You need to do this for your vision and for the world. And then she says, I'm here for you. And he says, we're here for you. And she touches her stomach. It seems like she is pregnant, and that is very convenient, I guess, because they just lost their child. And before, she, I guess, genetically was not able to have children. So miraculously, they lost one child, and now they're gonna have another one. So like, maybe it balances out. It felt weird also because they had already talked about how like she couldn't have children. I don't know. It felt very convenient. It felt very, I don't know, like hokey that all of a sudden now she's able to get pregnant, and that's gonna like fuel him to go do his thing. Now, the conference itself starts happening. Everyone is nervous because they're not sure if Foster's going to show up, but we do find out that 20 countries have signed on to the Global Harmony agenda. Hopefully, more will as well. And the UN approved some draft language for a resolution that they were pushing for. So it seems like the conference is going well. And then Foster gets on stage. He's not shaven because he had been distraught, but he gets up there. He gives a speech. He gives, this message of hope and future harmony for the world. Kicks off the conference. Everything seems to be going well, despite all the other things that happen to try to stop them. It seems like the conference is going to happen. And that is the end of the movie. That is Global Harmony. Like I said, I liked the message. I liked some of the ideas. I just don't think that the film was a very good movie proper. Like, I feel like it could have focused more on some of the issues, given some more facts, and not had this like fictitious organization and this like, I don't know, strange unstructured structure that it had. So I think you should pass on it. But, if you do check it out, let me know what you thought. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.